And this is Beyond the Headline segment where we bring the issues to your doorstep. Today we are talking about YouStart. Now, there's been a lot of complaints when it comes to unemployment in Ghana, and the youth have called for the government to do something about it. When he said we should vote him into power, he promised to curb unemployment, and so he has created YouStart. We want to know if YouStart is really the solution to unemployment in Ghana. We couldn't do this without bringing in the man himself who can speak to this issue, and his name is Mr. Kofi Ofosu Nkansa. He's the CEO of a National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Rosemary.
How are you today?
We are fine, by God's grace.
It's good to have you here.
Good to be here, too.
Great. Yeah. Now, let's talk about YouStart. Tell us a bit about what YouStart really is.
All right. So, YouStart is a 10 billion cedis entrepreneurship vehicle meant to create jobs for the young people of Ghana aged between 18 and 40 in the next 3 years. We all know the issues of unemployment and the threats it poses politically, socially to the country. So being a government which believes in the private sector as an engine of growth, as a tradition, we've always invested in the private sector, believing that they will stimulate job creation in the economy. We are bringing this vehicle which will ignite and unleash the innovative and entrepreneurial spirits of the youth, so that it will help us mark a conscious departure from seeking for jobs to job creation, so that instead of the youth going out there to look for jobs, they would become employers who create jobs for other people to benefit. Right. So how is it done? We are going to do this by building an entrepreneurial state that empowers young people to be bold, innovative, proactive, dynamic, so that they can help contribute to the economic transformation of the country. So if you look at the 2022 budget theme, for instance, the theme was building a sustainable entrepreneurial nation, fiscal consolidation and job creation. This is a government which believes that with the right support for the private sector, we can create the jobs and stimulate economic growth and then create the much needed job opportunities that the youth want. Okay, before you continue, let me ask you this. How are you planning on building this young entrepreneurial nation? All right, so if you look at the Ghana Cares program, it is a 100 billion program meant to stimulate the entire economy post-COVID, to create opportunities across all the sectors, from agri and agribusiness, textiles and garment, pharmaceuticals, ICT, digital economy, manufacturing, housing and construction, tourism, and creative sector, and what have you. But there is an entrepreneurship component of this Ghana Cares program, which is the Youth and Innovative Agri and then the 100 billion cedis YouStart program. And this is set out in 4 modules. The commercial model, the district entrepreneurship model, and then one with the faith-based organizations, then the last cohort with the Nation Builders Core Group, the NAPCO. It has been structured in this manner so that all segments of the society will benefit from the program. No one will be left out. So a chunk of the support will go through the banks under the commercial model, where any youth-led enterprise, any youth-led SME, if I say youth, the definition is 18 to 40 years. If you are not youth too, it means that you should hire at least 40% or 50%, majority, more than 50%. So we are looking at 18 to 40 years. Yes. But your online says 18 to 35 years. Yes, so it was still work in progress. We don't actually have the website launched yet. We don't have a portal yet. Or what you've seen may be snippets of information which came out from speeches people made online. Okay. So the program has not been launched yet. Mr. President will launch it in first week of July. So we should debunk the 35 years. Yes. Okay. It's been extended to 40 years, and even that people are complaining. But the consolation there is that even if you are above 40 and you employ the young people of Ghana, more than half of your staff are young people between the ages of 18 and 40. You qualify to access the support that I'm talking about. So I was talking about the commercial model. This is where young people who have SMEs, enterprises, can access between 100,000 and 500,000 cedis to support their businesses, to do training and capacity building, funding, CAPEX support, OPEX support, procurement assistance, to buy technology, and to do whatever business development support activities that they need. From there, then we come to the
How long should your SME have run before you are entitled to this amount of money?
Yes, so the banks will have their own terms and conditions, and we are not going to speak a lot about that. But at least you should run your bank statement for about 6 months. You have your digital address so that you can be traced. You should have your Ghana card.
So a
you should
minimum of 6 months, your SME should have been running.
Exactly. Okay. And you should be able to prove your cash flow projection and all that. But where I'm going to talk about most is a social model, which is a district entrepreneurship program, which will have about 30% of the resources. All fingers are not equal. Is that how they say it? Yes. So we cannot ask everybody to go through the banks under the commercial model, even though it is not your usual credit terms that you get if you go to the bank. It is very flexible, just 10% interest rate, with a long period of moratorium, 12 months if it is for CAPEX, 6 months if it is for OPEX. The tenor is also 3 years, so you have a longer period of time to pay. But we still think the young people who have just finished secondary school, who are interested in taking up entrepreneurship, those who are in the university, the undergraduates, those who have finished university, those who didn't have formal education at all, but who have the appetite for entrepreneurship, who are interested in it, who have SMEs already and want to scale, we think we should give them special support. And that is what is being run through the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program and the Ghana Enterprise Agency. By giving these youth a low rate of 4%, actually there will even be grant components for vulnerable people, bottom of the pyramid people, disadvantaged people, persons living with disability, women in STEM. Is there
a particular sector of entrepreneurship that we are looking at? Or if somebody comes to you and tells you, I've started this, we are still going to support that person?
So if you look at the Ghana Cares document, which is a guiding document for all these programs, there are priority areas. Commercial agriculture is one, because if you look at our economy, we spend about 2 billion cedis on food imports alone. So we are going to do a lot to accelerate food import substitution so that we can be able to produce enough, process them here under a light manufacturing cohorts, so that the tomatoes, the poultry, the rice, and all these foods that processed and unprocessed, which we import, we can get substitutes locally and bridge that import substitution gap off.
So anything to do with agriculture?
So agriculture, there will be a lot of focus on agriculture. And then once you have the agriculture produce, you have to process them. So that brings us to the light manufacturing. So talk of processing of rice, the rice millets, processing of poultry, cassava. There's a big gap there because of the use of cassava for ethanol, cassava, and other products. Sugar, we import almost everything. Tomatoes, pharmaceutical testers, and garment. These are
that's the agriculture. Okay, and which other area are we looking at?
Machine tools industry. If you look at the devices, tools, and equipment that we use to undertake our artisanal TVET activity, from throwers to the machines, the electricians, everything is imported. So if a Ghanaian company, an SME, and you have interest in setting up this machine tools industry, you will get priority over some other sectors.
You are talking about it being imported. Now, if somebody says he's going into the importation business, it's also entrepreneurship, bringing it in. Are we looking at that, or you still have to manufacture your own
What we will not
machines?
support is importation of finished products.
Good.
We will support importation of raw materials. So if you're importing flour to undertake some bakery business, then of course you qualify for YouStart, because you are coming to add value. And it's just like having Toyotas and the video, we're doing the assembly here. The metals are not manufactured here, but they bring the parts and they qualify for stimulus package under the automotive company. So why not? Yes, so sectors like the ICT and digital economy, very important. Housing and construction to help bridge the housing deficits. But this doesn't mean these are the only areas we will support. We are going to support business across all sectors, from archaeology to zoology. It depends on how creative it is, the job potential in the sector and all that, because there are KPIs, key performance indicators. Are
we going to support the fashion industry as well?
A lot. I think I mentioned
creative arts industry?
Yes, because if you look at an example we had recently, Black Sheriff, who is from my hometown, Konongo Dumasi. Within a year, he moved from being a Konongo boy to a global icon. His music was played at NBA basketball course in the United States. I'm not sure the biggest indigenous business is even heard of in America, but because of how fast the creative sector businesses can move within a year, he was heard of. So if you have somebody with potential in the creatives, whether it is tourism, whether it is culture, whether it is arts, we provide them the needed support so that we can have more black sheriffs, we can have more musicians, we can have more ladies, actresses and actors are doing so well. They are making money on Netflix now. Aquaba Magic and other creative spaces.
Yeah, YouStart is willing to support such people.
YouStart is willing to support.
Let me ask you this: if I walk into or I want to apply and I say I'm an actress, what do you need to see before you qualify me and give me a loan?
Yes. So if you have an idea, you should give us a proof of concept. You should demonstrate to us that this is what you have. You've experimented it. You have some demos, and this is your record. This is what you can do with it. These are the potential jobs you can create. This is your potential cash flow. It is a regular business plan that you will showcase and tell us that this is a commercially viable venture. That is what is important, because we don't want to just pump government machine into businesses or into ideas, and then most of them will fail. We are expecting enterprises which will be commercially viable after getting the needed capacity building and training support, after getting the equipment credit, after getting the machinery support, after getting the support in technology, after getting the market linkage support, after getting the procurement assistance, after getting the product certification and quality assurance, and all other business development support services that we can give our enterprises for them to be able to grow, stimulate the economy, and then provide more jobs for the teeming youth of the country.
Right. This conversation is for you at home, and the government is bringing YouStart to curb unemployment. Do send in your messages. We'll activate the phone line later, but you can send in your message on our WhatsApp line. We'll read the messages live on air. You can ask, sir, any question of your choice is here to answer. Now, when you go online, you said that it hasn't been launched, but this is what the online portals are reporting. It's more for NAPCO people. Is it true?
No. So as I mentioned, there are 4 models of YouStart. The commercial, the district entrepreneurship program, which is the social program, and then we will be doing another with the faith-based organizations through the churches, the Ahmadiyya movement and the Muslim groups, and then the last cohort is one through the NAPCO. And it is just an exit route for NAPCO beneficiaries who are interested in taking up entrepreneurship. We are not forcing it on the about 50,000 or so NAPCO beneficiaries who have not been absorbed into the MDAs yet. No, because not everybody is interested in entrepreneurship. So that is just a small percentage reserved for NAPCO beneficiaries who will need startup packs to start up the entrepreneurship activity. If they are in some business already, if they have an SMU already, you help them to scale, to expand so that they can grow their businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it goes across the board. Now let's talk about churches. You did mention churches. You know, church in some ways entrepreneurial enough. Are we looking at supporting churches that are startup churches as well? Yeah.
So the faith-based organizations, as we know, they have a chunk of the youth of the country. Recently, I read some stats. The Church of Pentecost, they have about 3 million members. This is Pentecost alone. And most of their members are youth. So we think if we route some of these opportunities through the churches, they'll be able to help them with the training, with the capacity building, especially in the artisanal and TVET area. Because almost every district you go to, almost every church, you have people who are into fashion, you have youth who are learning various trades like electricals, plumbing, the masonry work, the metal work, bakery, the snail rearing, and the others in the grassroots. So every youth in the church, if you are not able to access the commercial model, at least your church will have this program for you to take advantage of. It doesn't end with the church or other faiths. So if you are in a Muslim, through the Zongos and their communities, we're also going to engage them so that local businesses which are relevant to those economies, the youth will be set up in those areas. If you go to the Zongos now, you have youth doing Sobolo, Asana, a lot of interesting Zongo businesses. There's a lot of potential. We are looking
at channeling the money through the faith-based institutions.
Exactly, because sometimes what they need is packaging so that they can take advantage of after and go beyond the borders of Ghana to even export some of these local
So are we
products.
looking at giving the faith-based institutions some bulk sum of money, like we say that, okay, to all these institutions, we are giving you this amount of money and we are expecting you to train or support this number of young startups?
All right, so this is the portfolio of products and services that we'll be giving to the beneficiaries, whether it is through church or NEIP or Ghana Enterprise Agency or NAPCO. Flexible loans for equipment credit and machinery credit, so that is loans. You know, low interest rates of just 4%, and the tenor is 3 years within which you can pay. You can also use some of the funding to do training and capacity building. Under the District Entrepreneurship Program, you can access up to 100,000 Ghana cedis. The interest rate is just 4%.
Are we looking at individuals with this, or we are looking at
We are looking at both individuals and groups.
Okay.
So if you are a group of entrepreneurs, you are a cooperative, you are an association, you are a community-based group, you can put yourselves together. Minimum 10 members in each group.
Okay.
And you can access up to 100,000 cedis, whether it is an equipment credit or support or is a cash.
A minimum of 10
in a group.
In a group.
And you should have registered the group and have a bank account. Then you can come together as a group to access this funding.
Are we going to follow up after we fund them?
Yes, there is a robust governance structure, a strong monitoring and evaluation framework. There is a ministerial committee which oversees this program across about 10 ministers. The finance minister is the head of the YouStart ministerial committee. There is youth and sports minister because it's a youth program. There is employment ministry because it has to do with job creation. There's a local government ministry so that every locality will take advantage of this program. Slots and quotas will be given to all district assemblies. We've had a roadshow with the MMDAs already across all the 16 regions of Ghana, and we are doing orientation for them, telling them to start preparing the youth towards these opportunities, so that if you are in my constituency, you will prepare, knowing that Asante Achem is an area for maybe plantain. It's a mining area, so the youth can come together, take advantage of the community mining, get an equipment for, let's say, good processing, free process for them, so that they will use it for their mining activity. If you are in the north and you are into shea butter production, use it for finished products like body lotions and body creams. Put yourselves together as a group and access YouStart support so that you can commercialize that venture. You're in the Volta region, there is coffee, you want to go into coffee processing, you can do that. Wherever you find yourself, as a youth, you do that. So coming back to the structure,
yes,
from the interministerial committee, we have the YouStart committee, which is headed by the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, John Kuma. And then under the YouStart secretariat, we have the implementing agencies, which is the NEIP, the Ghana Enterprise Agency, and then we have the participating financial institutions, which will roll out the commercial model. And then we have the faith-based organizations and the NAPCO. And then we have partners who are going to help us with implementation, the youth agencies like YEA, NYA, TVET service, and other youth-oriented
So let me ask you this. I mean, with all of these that you're saying that you have a whole body of ministers seated on there, if somebody should take the money and you follow up and you realize the person is not using the money as it's supposed to be, what's going to happen?
We will not wait to get to that stage in the first place. That is why we are involving the assemblies. They will help us with the onboarding, the screening, to make sure serious youth are onboarded this program, and along every step of the process of application, from application.
Are we taking the money? Are we taking the money from the people if they should not use the money for what they said? That is why there will be referees.
That is why there will be guarantors. So the communities themselves will serve as watchdogs. Okay. Because it's going to be like a revolving.
So if it's not done, are we taking the money back? Are we suing the people? Are they going to jail?
Exactly. That is why a chunk of the, I'm not sure about jail, but that is why a chunk of the money is being routed through the banks.
Okay.
You know, if you go to the banks for credit, they have their own terms and
conditions. But the one that doesn't go through the bank, what happens?
Even that, we are going to disburse with them.
Okay.
Because after you pass the application processes, the screening, and you are selected, and you are going to be given the support, it is the banks which will do the disbursement. You will not give the money to you, so they will come for it. Okay. So it is going to help us with recovery. And of course, before disbursement is done, your credit rating and scoring will also be used. I mean,
so what we are looking at is the recovery.
Exactly. With Ghana Card, We can tell whether you are credit worthy or not. If you have a bad habit of not paying back your loans, then you may not qualify for.
Now, in Ghana here, we've also realized that in the past, especially, it's happened a few times. We've seen it happen, and that's why I'm going to ask you this question. When you go apply for such things, you need to belong to a certain political party. How sure are we that this is open to all?
All the opportunities we are bringing is for the youth of Ghana. What you need to access it is your Ghana card, your digital address. You should be aged between 18 and 40 years, or you should have 50% of your staff being 40 years or below. When we brought Nation Builder Score, NAPCO, we didn't take party card before providing the opportunity for the youth. And that is why there are several cohorts in this program. When you go to the banks, participating financial institutions, and you are going for support, they will not ask you whether you have MPP card or NDC card. The banks will look at how creditworthy you are, whether you have a bank account, whether you can be tracked in case they are looking for you. They have their regular terms and conditions. Of course, government has served as guarantee for every youth of Ghana. So even the commercial one is going to be collateral free. Okay. No collateral whatsoever, whether it is commercial or social, faith-based one, or even the NAPCO one.
No collateral.
No
if you give it to the faith-based ones, are you going to follow up on what they use it for?
Yes, we have a monitoring framework. They are going to report to us regularly, monthly, quarterly. We have key performance indicators that we are giving them. Number of youth they are training weekly, monthly, job creation potential, what is the reach, what is the inclusivity measure, are they covering enough women? Are they covering other disadvantaged people?
Are the women getting a higher rate as compared to the men?
Well, the rate is going to be the same
for the women.
But if you look at the SME data in the country, we actually have more women in entrepreneurship because our ladies do a lot better in trade.
And the disabled?
The disabled, we have a percentage for them.
Okay. Are they higher?
They are even going to get some grant components. So in some cases, depending on the business they undertake, they may not have to pay back at all.
Okay.
But it will not be for all categories of business.
What are the categories you are looking at with those who might not pay with the disabled?
Yes. So it is still work in progress.
Okay.
But you know, I mentioned priority areas.
Yes.
If let's say we have a big gap with imports in tomatoes production, or let's say with the machine tools, we do a lot of importation from China, and you go into those areas, we'll be motivated to give you better rates because we know you are going to help us save our city, improve our foreign exchange reserves, and then the pressure on the city will reduce.
Now, let me ask you this again. How long will it take if one should apply before the person receives the loan?
From application process, screening, through all the processes, it shouldn't take more than a month for you to.
So we are looking at 4 weeks.
The process. But of course, this is going to come from the e-levy. You know, the three main things we said we're going to use e-levy for: road infrastructure, youth employment.
This is coming from the e-levy?
It is coming from the e-levy.
Are we receiving enough money from the e-levy that we can be able to crop up 10 billion? From
the projections we are getting, we should be able to get the support. But not all the 10 billion, again, is also coming from government. This is an arrangement with the private sector, you know, counterpart funding with the banks and then the development partners.
So what's the percentage that the banks and the private sector are taking? What's the percentage?
So,
and what's the percentage the government is taking?
So for the commercial model, for instance, now the banks will be bringing 30% of the total fund and government will be providing 70%.
So we are getting 70%. So we are getting 7 billion from e-levy.
That is not all. There will be a component which may also come from the development partners like the World Bank and the other development partners.
So we are not looking at the 7 billion coming from the government.
So government may provide, let's say, around 5 billion, and we can have the rest coming from the private sector and then the development partners. So we are looking at raising 5 billion Ghana cedis through e-levy to do YouStart. So if we don't raise... And this is for a 3-year period, remember, it's not just for the first year. Yeah. But the question is that it can also happen that government may not be able to get that much. That's what I was going to ask you. We will get the deficit from the private sector or the development part. Have you agreed with the private sector that if we don't raise a 5 billion Ghana cedis from e-levy, you are going to pay so that we can raise a 10 billion? Have they agreed to it? The banks are happy. They are on board. The Ghana Association of Bankers, they are going to sign an MOU with government. I think Mr. John Awuah, who is president of the Ghana Association of Bankers, came on Joy to speak about it recently. And they will be the best people to speak to this. But they are ready
All right.
to support government to roll out this program.
Let me ask you a final question before we go. We've seen a lot of startups, we've seen a lot of initiatives done by every government, but the problem here is the sustainability plan. What's your sustainability plan with YouStart? So
sustainability is very important. In the first place, there's a robust governance structure and resource framework. So right up from the interministerial committee to the implementing agencies, there is a regular reporting which the committee is going to review to continue to give feedback to the various participants and stakeholders of this program to ensure success. There is going to be a strong monitoring and evaluation framework to make sure that periodic, transparent, qualitative, quantitative reporting. We are going to do effective targeting of growth stage startups. Most of the support is going to those who have taken off already. We have allocated percentages. And then those at the accelerator levels are also going to get a chunk of the money. And then to also ensure that some small percentage is given to the idea stage businesses, of course, because consultation and partnership is very, very important. This time around, we are starting with roadshows. We've met the MMDAs, as I said already. We are going to meet the industry players like GUTA, AGI, Chamber of Commerce, the Hubs networks, the investors, the entrepreneurs themselves, the agriculture industry players like the Poultry Farmers Association, the light manufacturing group, so that every cohort that we roll out, we will get best practices from the industry players, and then we will not have to reinvent the wheel to repeat mistakes which have been done in the past. And of course, there are sustainable packages like linking them to Venture Capital Trust Fund, SM Bank, the Development Bank Ghana, which will be coming up, and other commercial banks, so that once they move from the YouStart, which is more of a social intervention, we will connect them to the universal banks and other financial institutions for them to continue to get
thank you so much. I wish we had enough time to talk about all of these, but we are super grateful. So when are we rolling this out? So
the president will launch it in first week of July.
Okay.
And then we'll take it from there.
Right.
I'm sure by the end of the year, a lot of you would have access support through YouStart to undertake their business development activities.
All right, great. I want to read a few messages before we go. This one reads, good morning. The only way to curb youth unemployment is by encouraging the youth to be self-employed. And I believe Brakofi and NEIP are doing a great job. So far, they have started the youth in our Greg and about to do the YouStart. We, the youth, are proud to have such a great person championing this project for the good of Ghana. Kudos, Brakofi. This coming from Andy Jan in Nungwa. This also reads that the YouStart program is such a brilliant policy by President Akufo-Addo's government that will help the youth access financial. One second. So my calls are coming. Please do not call my WhatsApp. For the youth to access the financial and social assets, and will be key contributing factor to help youth make their own economic decisions and escape poverty, providing young people with financial services in a considerable and structured loan for investment in an enterprise. And will also promote numerous entrepreneurs and asset building and emphasize sustainable livelihoods for the teeming youth in Ghana. I have a lot of messages coming. This one says, good morning, Rosalind. Kofi Owusu-Nkansah made great strides as the MD at Accra Digital Center, transforming it into a digital eco pack. I believe he is going to do the same at NEIP and with YouStart. Ghana needs more entrepreneurs to help curb unemployment. YouStart is here to break the gaps for entrepreneurs to succeed. This is coming from Ike Bonnie. You do have a lot of people rooting for you, and we hope you don't fail.
We are not going to fail. It's a big project, right from the president to the last youth of Ghana. Fortunately, we have partners, private sector, banks, development partners, and all of us together.
I wish I could read everybody's message, but I can't. But thank you so much for being here, Mr. Kofi Nkansah. We are super grateful. We'll definitely call on you again once it's rolled.
Next time, give him more time.
I'll give you 1 hour. Don't go yet. Wait. Let me sign off. And he is the CEO of National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Mr. Kofi Ofosu-Nkansah. Thank you once again. We'll call on you again. Just sit down. We'll take a break. So when we come back, KMJ, you're still there. You're not gone yet. KMJ will be taking us away with a conversation with Elikem Kumoji. Stay with us.
I want to go so that they tell her.